Hi, this is Anshul, and I will be walking you through this whole process of reversing a string. And here I've just written a frame of what we will have. So, for example, I have the string I study at University of Cincinnati, and the reverse of the string is going to be like this: Cincinnati of University at study I. Okay, so this is what we are looking to accomplish at this point, and I have defined an API which is called as reverse string, which accepts a string as a reference. And the way I'm going to work on this is by creating a stack. Now there are many different ways of reversing a string. For example, you can even use a while loop and start at the end of the string and go backwards. And as you encounter any of these words, you start inserting it into a result. Okay, so that's another way. And yet another way will be, instead of using stack, I can only use for example the string insert function, which inserts the words at the beginning of the words. But so essentially we specify the location where we want to insert the word, and that takes care of it. In this specific implementation, I'm using a stack. So let's get started with this. I have defined my stack right now, and then let's say we will have another variable which will, let's say so I will actually go with my conditions right now. So for example, for integer, so I will say unsigned int I is set to 0, then I is going to be less than str.size, and then I plus plus. Okay, so this is going to be our main loop over here, and let's start with the first condition. So now there might be cases where we might have multiple spaces in your string. So for example, I and then multiple spaces and study. So what I want to do is, I don't want to keep looping in if I have multiple spaces. I just want to continue my for loop in case of contiguous space, if I encounter contiguous spaces. So let's say I'll call is space, which checks if there is a space, and then I will say stri. Okay, so this is going to check each and every character that I have, and then I will say str. So I'm checking over here if I have a space in the next location, in the next character. So I will check if this is also, so I'll check if by using if space itself, or even so another way of checking if it's a space or not is this. Equal to space. Okay, so this is another way by which I can actually check if there is a space or not. And one more condition that I would like to add in this case is going to be I equal to 0. Okay, so if I is equal to 0 and I encounter a space, I want to skip it. Alright, so yeah, this is kind of sort of our starting condition. And if this is the case, what I would like to do is I can keep a count of the number of spaces that I encounter. So let's say I will define an integer variable which is called a space count, assign it the value of 0, and then I would say space count plus plus. Okay, so Yeah, this is going to count all these spaces, and I will say continue. All right. Also, you want to make sure that no one is able to modify the string once it is passed to this API. So it will be declared as a constant over here. Now, if the first condition is not true, in that case, we will have another condition which says if is space and then stri. So we are checking if there is a space, and we also want to check if this is the first character. Okay, so let's say I will so whenever you encounter space, you want to skip those. All right, and when you actually encounter a specific value, let's say you have a, b, c, whatever in that location, in that case I will check if it is not a space. That's one. And the second check that I want to put over here is if it is the first character. So let's say I will actually have this boolean which is going to be his first character, and I will define it as false. So this is my initial condition, and I will check if this is first character. Okay, and I'll check if it is false, and only if it is false I will get into this condition, right? And I will actually set this to true, and what I want to do is I want to record the first position where my first character appears. So for this I will define, let's say, another variable over here which will be integer, and let's say first character position. Okay, and I will say it as 0. Alright, and then I will actually I will update my first character position. So this will be set to I. Alright, so I have recorded my first character position now, and when we finally encounter a space after this, let's say I have a space at the end of it, so I will check if is space stri. Okay, so we are checking if there is a space, and so what we want to do in this condition is when I encounter a space after a specific word, I want to take that word and push it onto my stack. Okay, so I will say this is if it is space, or we will have one more condition. So if we are at the end of the word, so for example if I'm at the end, we will not have a space at this specific point. Okay, so what I want to do in this case is I want to check if my string size, if I is equal to string dot size -1. Right, so if we are at the end of the array, in that case we want to make this check, and so I've closed it now. And if that is the case, so I will set is first character to false, because now we have a complete string, a complete word, not a complete string. And I will have another check over here which says if str dot size -1 is equal to I. So essentially we are going to have two conditions. Either I'm at the end of my my string, or I am somewhere in the middle of my string. So if it is the end of my string, for example, so again, this is actually another optimization that we can do, since we don't want to check again and again if it is equal to I, because in every loop it is going to go and check if it is equal to I. So instead we will check if it is not equal to I, because this condition is going to appear at the end of the string. So that is going to save us some CPU cycles, and I will check if it is not equal to I, and in that case I'm going to push my so I think I'm missing some braces somewhere. Yeah, I think it's over here. Once I fix this, it should be all good. Yep. So now it should give me all those options, hopefully. Yeah, so this is working now. So I will push my substring. So let's say I will say str.substring, okay, and it's going to be my first position. So that's the first character position, and then from this position, so the way substring is going to work is from a specific position, and how many characters do you want to push into the stack. So let's say 2, 3, 4, whatever it might be. So from this location up to so this is the length of your string that you want to push onto the stack. So this is going to be I minus first character position, okay, and minus the space count. Alright, so this looks pretty good. So I will say this, okay, else we will be at the end of the string. In this specific case, I will actually have a different way of pushing this. So I'll copy this again, okay, and I will say first character position minus space count. So I can say 1 in this specific case, plus 1, okay, because we will be at the end of the string and we want to make sure that the I minus the first character position minus the space count, whatever space is there, and include a 1 so that we do not cut our string at the end. So this should do it, and then at the end of this loop I'm going to say space count is equal to 0, okay. So I think this is pretty much what we want to do, and I will need to return this as my result. So so there's one more thing that we need to do, and which is going to be, so we'll have another while loop. Let's say while so I have this stack, right? So while my stack is not empty, while it is not empty, I want to, let's define another string over here, which will be result. So let's say std double colon string result, okay. And what I want to do in result is that I will say result dot append and stack dot top, okay. And once I do that, I also want to append a space to it, so I will copy this and I will append a space. Alright, and then I will say stack dot pop. Alright, so this will pop off my topmost string, and once this is executed, we will have a reverse string, and I will say return result. Okay, now over here what we need to do is we need to call, let's say, I will define this as a std double colon string. Okay, and I will call it res, which is the result, and I will say result res is assigned by ref string, and we will pass our string to this. So this is what we have, and now I will say cout std double colon cout, and I will print my result. So this will be res and std double colon and l. Okay, so I think this looks good. Let's go ahead and give this a shot. I will build this. Okay, so it seems to have built successfully. We didn't get anything in the result, so I think there has to be a mistake somewhere, and we will have to spot this. So let me just quickly pause this for a second and see where the mistake might be. Okay, so I just found the issue with the program, and which was over here. So essentially, there was supposed to be a bracket in this specific location, and I didn't add a bracket, because of which it was taking the entire thing as an argument. So I added a closing bracket over here and removed a couple of brackets from this side. So now this is working fine, and if I build the solution, it builds correctly. And let's go to result, and if I say reverse string, it says Cincinnati of University at study I. Okay, so this is how. So this was my string. I study at University of Cincinnati, and now it correctly gives me the result, which says Cincinnati of University at study I. So that's exactly what we wanted. And let's add a couple of spaces and see if our program works fine. I don't expect it to work perfectly, but let's say I add a couple of spaces here and here. Let's say I add 3 to 4 spaces here, and let's say this, and let's say this. Okay, and I'm going to again build this, and let's say I run this again, and there you go. It again gives us the right answer, and there are no extra spaces in this as well. So I think so we have actually removed that possibility of having too many spaces. And let's say I will change this now. I will say, instead of this, I will only say Cincinnati, right? So it should just give us Cincinnati in that case. So let me build this again. Now it is built successfully, and I will call this. There you go. So this program is working fine. Again, there are different ways of doing the same thing. You can use a while loop and traverse the string from the right to the left, and then that should give you the right result. Another way is to use string operations. So instead of using any stack.push and all these different APIs, I will actually use string.insert in the beginning of the string, So as you know, I encountered the string. So for example, I actually move from here, right, from the end of the string, and then I start moving in this direction. And as soon as I encounter the first space, then I will take that string and insert it into into a string result, which will be so which will essentially work in a similar way, and I will keep on appending the characters as I encounter into my string. So that's yet another way to solve this. Here we have used stack, and I hope this gives you a good idea in terms of how you can actually use stack to reverse a string. All right, thank you so much, and have a good day. Bye bye.